Hi, my name is Henry Abraham, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. And what that means to me is that I haven't had the need to use any mind or mood-altering substances since November 17, 1980. And I'm grateful that I never experienced a relapse. But I've talked to many who have told me that when they did relapse, that it got 7 times worse. I thank you for all you guys out there that showed your likes, your subscribes, your subscriptions, and your notifications for upcoming videos. So it's causing me to continue to create great content, because I created this channel for people who were eager and desperate to recover, but wanted it from a book or from the big book perspective. Go back to my first video and you'll see the purpose for this channel. And we're going to cover a lot of different roads to recovery. But I wanted to start off with the big book road. But we will cover Narcotics Anonymous. We will cover cognitive behavioral therapy, MRT, more recognition therapy, smart recovery. We're going to encompass a bunch of different approaches, because there are many roads that lead to recovery. You just have to find out which one fits you. I'd like to talk about a very controversial topic. And the reason why it's so controversial is because people either don't know or people are just ignorant to the fact. Ignorant simply means that they're not highly intelligent. They just don't have the knowledge. They haven't taken time to read the big book. One of the topics that I want to talk today is the difference between recovered and recovering. On our last video, if you recall, we talked about the 3 most disempowering words in recovery. The 3 most disempowering words in recovery are simply, I got this. But the 3 most empowering words we talked about in recovery is simply, I need help. You know, when you look at going from enslavement, which is disempowerment, to recovery, which is empowerment, disempowerment is basically restless, irritable, and discontent. But when one recovers, they become happy, joyous, and free, simply because life is not to be endured, it's to be enjoyed. I told you in our first video that I needed you to get a couple of tools that we use in recovery. One was the 4th edition of the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. I also told you to get the 12 steps and 12 traditions. I want you to pick that up right now, because we're going to be looking at it as well. Because like I told you earlier, I'm not an entertainer, I'm an educator. And what I mean simply by that is not to throw anybody under the bus, but this is our basic text. A textbook is a book not only to be read and memorized, but to be studied and applied. So what I'd like to do is draw our attention to our co-founder, Bill W. Draw your attention to the cover page in your book. Let's take a look at something, the word recovered. We're going to look at the word recovered, and we're going to look at the 2 times the word recovering are in your book. Now, there are some people out there from the school of thought that we never do recover. But that's a bad ideology, meaning that's bad thinking merely because why would you keep coming back if you didn't recover? And if you didn't recover, how can you help somebody to recover? I have recovered and have been empowered to help others, and that's not a big I little you statement, but that's my truth. And this is where I got my truth from after the 37 years of sustained sobriety. Our cover page simply says, Alcoholics Anonymous, the story of how many thousands of men and women who have recovered from alcoholism. This was so important to Bill W. till he put it on our cover page. He wanted people to know that we do recover. I like to not so much expedite the time, but I want to give you some pages to look at for yourself. I'm not throwing your sponsor, your grand sponsor, or anyone whom you're working with right now under the bus, but all I'm saying is, let's read the book. I'll give you an Abrahamism. The book that you don't read is the book that won't help you. And most people only work step 1 and step 12. They admit they're powerless and they carry a message. And that's basically what entertainers do. Educators, they go through the process, right? So let's look at the forward to the first edition. That's on Roman numeral page 13, XIII. And we'll start with the first paragraph. Here it goes again. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have, there it is, recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, period. To show other alcoholics precisely, notice this is an italicized print, they really want to draw emphasis to this point. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. I also told you about getting a big book dictionary, and if you get the big book dictionary, you'll see that word authentication simply means no other proof will be necessary. I want you to go to Roman numeral page 5, XV. Take your time. Got it? Forward to the second edition. Look at the second paragraph. I'll start reading at the second paragraph. 16 years have elapsed between our first printing of this book and the presentation in 1955 of our second edition. In that brief space, Alcoholics Anonymous has mushroomed into nearly 6,000 groups whose membership is far above 150,000 recovered alcoholics. You know, he that doesn't read is no better than he that does read. Roman numeral page 17 rather, XVII. I'm going to read the first paragraph. Hence the two men set to work almost frantically. That's Bill and Bob. Now they're about to go meet AA number 3, which is a guy by the name of Bill D, or Bill Dobson. Hence the two men set to work almost frantically upon alcoholics arriving in the ward of the Akron City Hospital. Notice this. Their very first case, a desperate one. That means he was really, really chronic. Recovered how soon? Immediately. And became AA number 3. He never had another drink. I don't know what some people are telling you. All we're doing is reading the book. Again, as I just said, he that doesn't read is no better than he that cannot read. Go with me again to the doctor's opinion. Now we're taking Dr. Silkworth's opinion. He was the one that had all the experience with helping men who were suffering from the chronic disease of alcoholism. Notice the second paragraph in his To Whom It May Concern letter. And he says, and I quote, in the course of his third treatment, he's talking about Bill, he acquired certain ideas concerning the possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must, we'll get and shoot a video on this too because there are over 168 must in the big book. They must do likewise with still others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have, there it is, recovered. Let's keep going. Let's go to There Is a Solution. Why would they put a chapter in the big book called There's a Solution if there was still a problem? The reason why there's a solution is because they figured out how to solve the problem. It's as if I went to an elementary school and asked the students there, 2 plus 2, or is 2 plus 2 4? And they would say, absolutely. And then I would follow up with the question, what's the problem? They would be smart enough to tell me there is no problem because we gave you the answer, which is the solution, and the solution is 4. So in chapter 2, let's look at what those more than 100 men and women are trying to tell us that we can have. First paragraph. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know, there it is again, thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. You remember, hopeless and helpless. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem. Wow. Now, I know that's making some people out there uncomfortable, but let's read the book. I rather believe the book because misinformed people gave me misinformation, and that's what caused me to get into the rooms. Go with me to page 20. Page 20. Let's look at the first paragraph. Let's look at what the big book says. You may already have asked yourself, why is it that all of us become so very ill from drinking? Doubtless you are curious to discover how and why. In the face of expert opinion to the contrary, we have recovered from a hopeless condition of mind and body. If you're an alcoholic who wants to get over it, you may already be asking, what do I have to do? You remember we covered this last week, one of the purposes. Here it is again. It is the purpose of this book to answer such questions specifically. We shall tell you what we have done. Wow. And people are still telling folks they don't recover. If you guys are out there listening, please don't share a message or carry a message that you never study for yourself. Because too many people are dying. We're losing people at a rapid rate because so much misinformation is being given, and all we have to do is read the book and study the book and try to live it to the best of our ability, because no one can maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. But I'm doing this short video to show you viewers and some of you listeners that we do recover. Okay, page 29, first paragraph. Further on, clear-cut directions are given showing how we recovered. That's the first 164 pages. Then, these are followed by 42 personal experiences. In other words, the stories. Look at the bottom of the page. We hope no one will consider these self-revealing accounts in bad taste. Our hope is that many alcoholic men and women desperately in need will see these pages, and we believe that it is only by fully disclosing ourselves and our problems that they will be persuaded to say, yes, I'm one of them too. I must have this thing. That is my sincere hope and prayer, that you first admit that you're powerless and that your life is unmanageable. But I love what Dr. Bob told Bill on keeping this program simple. He reduced it to 6 words, and the 6 words were merely trust God, clean house, and help others. I want to draw your attention to page 45, but let's start at the bottom of the page on page 44. If a mere code of morals or a better philosophy of life were sufficient to overcome alcoholism, many of us would have what? Recovered long ago. But we found that such codes and philosophies did not save us, no matter how much we tried. We can wish to be moral. We could wish to be philosophically comforted. In fact, we could will these things with all our might, but the needed prayer wasn't there. Our human resources, as marshaled by the will, were not sufficient. They failed utterly. Why did they fail utterly? The next paragraph tells us. Is because we were disconnected to the power. Lack of power, that's our dilemma. The word dilemma in your big book dictionary is problem, right? But people are still, how can you have a higher power, like we said last week, and still be powerless? Just, I don't know, you hear all kind of stuff in the rooms. But let's look at what the book says. What I want to draw your attention to page 90, and I want to look at the third paragraph. Sometimes it's wise, they're talking about when you go on a 12-step call. Sometimes it's wise to wait till he goes on a binge. The family may object to this, but unless he's in a dangerous physical condition, it's better to risk it. Don't deal with him when he's very drunk unless he is ugly and the family needs your help. Wait for the end of the spree, or at least for a lucid interval. Then, watch this, let his family or a friend ask him if he wants to quit for good, and if he will go to any extreme to do so, any lengths. If he says yes, meaning our friend, then his attention should be drawn to you as a person who has recovered. Let's keep it moving. Page 96, first paragraph. It's really talking about sponsorship, and it's talking about Bill W.'s experience with his half a dozen prospects, but let's read it from the top. Do not be discouraged if your prospect does not respond at once. Search out another alcoholic and try again. You're sure to find someone desperate enough to accept with eagerness what you offer. We find it a waste of time to keep chasing a man who cannot or will not work with you. If we leave such a person alone, he may soon become convinced that he cannot recover by himself. To spend too much time on any one situation is to deny some other alcoholic an opportunity to live and be happy. Watch this. One of our fellowship, meaning Bill, failed entirely with his first half dozen prospects. He often says that if he had continued to work on them, he might have deprived many others who have since recovered of their chance. I'm going to talk about sponsorship in an upcoming video, but I will give you this tidbit now. Never work harder for a person that's not willing to work for themselves, because that's a waste of time. Go with me real quickly to page 113. I'm just showing you what the book says about the word recovered. We do recover. I have recovered. I can't speak for anybody else. Page 113, first paragraph. This is to the wives. Remember, the big book was originally written to men. That's why they have a chapter in here to the wives. If he is enthusiastic, if he is enthusiastic, your cooperation will mean a great deal. If he's lukewarm or thinks he's not an alcoholic, we suggest you leave him alone. Avoid urging him to follow our program. The seed has been planted in his mind. He knows, watch this, that thousands of men, much like himself, have recovered. It's just a constant theme, family. It's a constant theme in our book. But we have entertainers telling you we don't recover. Go with me to page 132. Last paragraph. Last sentence on that paragraph. It's only one paragraph, well, two paragraphs on the page, but look at the last sentence. We have recovered and have been given the power to help others. Look on page 133. It's all over the book. First paragraph. Now about help. A body badly burned by alcohol does not often recover overnight, nor do twisted thinking and depression vanish in a twinkling. It's a process. We are convinced that a spiritual mode of living is a most powerful health restorative. We who have recovered, there it is, from serious drinking are miracles of mental health. Let me show you another one. Look at page 146, second paragraph. As your man has gone along without drinking for a few months, you may be able to make use of his services with other employees who are giving you the alcoholic runaround, provided, of course, they are willing to have a third party in the picture. And this is basically, back in those days, EAP, Employee Assistance Program. Notice this next sentence. An alcoholic who has recovered but holds a relatively unimportant job can talk to a man with a better position. Being on a radically different basis of life, he will never take advantage of the situation. Why? Because You never take advantage of a person in recovery once you recover and you understand that in order to get that person's attention, your message has to have depth and weight. I want to show you the two places that the word recovering are in. And they're interesting. They're very, very interesting. And they're both almost to the wives. Go to page 122. Page 122. The family afterwards. Look at the first paragraph. Our women folk have suggested certain attitudes a wife may take with the husband who is recovering. First word where the word recovery, this is the second place the word recovering is in our book. But let me show you where it is again, and most people never find it. Go to the chapter to the wives. Look at the bottom of page 104 and look at the footnote. Written in 1939, when there were few women in AA, this chapter assumes that the alcoholic in the home is likely to be the husband. But many of the suggestions given here may be adapted to help the person who lives with a woman alcoholic, whether she is still drinking or is recovering in AA. A further source of help is noted on page 121. I want to show you something else. Those are the only two places that the word recovering is, but look at all the places Bill placed the word recovered. Let's look at something else here. Let's look at the 12 and 12. I have another footnote here. Let's look at 12, the 12 and 12. Go with me to the forward in your 12 and 12. And your forward, if you look at the bottom of your forward in your 12 steps and 12 traditions, you'll see it says in 2013 it is estimated that over 2 million have recovered through AA. It's a consistent theme. Stay in your 12 and 12. Look at page 17, second paragraph. With the publication of the book Alcoholics Anonymous in 1939, the pioneering period ended and a prodigious chain reaction set in as the recovered alcoholics carried their message to still others. Wow. It's everywhere. Page, excuse me, page 22, second paragraph, the last sentence in the paragraph. It was a statistical fact that alcoholics almost never recovered on their own resources. And this has been true, apparently, ever since man had first crushed grapes. In other words, this is a we program. You don't have to do this on your own. There is help. The AA answer on page 112. This is the last one I want to show you. Second paragraph. Page 112 in your 12 and 12. The AA answer to these questions about living is yes, all of these things are possible. We know this because we see monotony, pain, and even calamity turn to good use by those who keep on trying to practice AA's 12 steps. And if those are facts of life, for the many alcoholics who have recovered, there it is again, in AA, they can become the facts of life for many more. I'd like to close with saying this, and I'm going to make it real simple for you. I have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, but guess what? I am recovering on a daily basis as far as my spirituality is concerned, because that is contingent upon a daily reprieve. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. We do recover. You guys continue to share these videos, and thank you so much for your likes and the subscriptions. Leave some comments, and I'll talk to you soon. All right? Thank you.